Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. In our last video, we showed you what was in the Hobo Horseshoe Pack. In this video, we're going to show you what we're carrying in the Hobo Haversack. Stay tuned. The Horseshoe Pack and Haversack combination has been well known for a very, very long time. Hundreds of years more than likely. Of course, many people familiar with the Civil War era in the United States, the 1860s. This is a very familiar configuration, and of course, they are to be carried together. There's a limited amount of gear that you want to carry in your horseshoe pack because it's tied up and it's around your shoulders and it's not easy to access. The gear in your haversack, on the other hand, is easy to get to, slung around your shoulder, and whenever you need to grab a hold of something, such as your tin cup, it's ready to hand for stooping down and getting a drink from a creek or a stream or a spring or wherever it may be. As you know, in our Hobo series, we've been talking about the classic era of the hobo in the 1930s, the Great Depression period. And so in keeping with that, we ordered this bag from What Price Glory. Great store. They have some wonderful reproduction gear. This is a new bag. It doesn't look like it because I have taken time to distress it and make it look like it's been on the rails and been used for quite a while. So again, these were not only known as a haversack, but properly known in the time as a musette bag. Removing the strap, we are able to easily access the tin cup. Of course, very handy, and you'd want to keep that out at all times. Opening up the main pouch, we find that there are several pockets. There's a front pocket here. There are a couple of smaller pockets on the inside with a divider in the center. We also have a buttoned flap pocket on the side, and in the very rear there is another pocket in the back held together by this button, and it does run all the way across and down to the bottom. So it's actually quite roomy. You can carry a lot of gear in here. Of utmost importance is water, and here we have a really great 1920s Stanley made in the USA, and it's a great old canteen that holds water, and of course this is something that you'd want to carry with you. I like it because it's really flat and it fits very well in this large back pocket of the haversack. It also has a nice flat bottom, so unlike a lot of canteens, some of them are too round to set well, but this one will sit on the ground quite nicely. I'll give you a close-up of that logo. The next item that we have is a Boy Scout first aid kit. And this one is in really great shape, and this would represent something that you might carry and just to keep yourself in good shape if you got hurt. There's enough items in here to patch yourself up other than needing a serious doctor visit. And I'll probably go through this in a future video to show you what I'm carrying inside of this. Next, we have our Hobo shaving kit in an old breakfast cocoa tin. And I will also be doing a video on this and demonstrating the contents of what a hobo might carry in a pocket-sized shave kit. Of course, a large pocket, something you could carry in the musette bag, and something a little different than I've demonstrated before. A hobo would also make sure and carry a fishing kit. Of course, different types of configurations, but things that he might need would be in here when he wanted to stop and catch a fish, and of course that was something that most of them knew how to do besides hunting, fishing and trapping. Many of them grew up on farms, and so this would be an easy way to get protein. Our next item is a Diddy Bag, and just an old canvas bank bag here. And inside we have a variety of items. I'll take time to show you one by one. We've got a celluloid box with a bit of soap. We have some matches. These are Vesta matches, of course, and a small tin of tinder. Very important for starting fires. Of course, we also carry a lighter. We have an extra tube of Band-Aids, just in case you might get a cut. Again, a very important first aid item, would have been available in the 1930s. Next, we have a toothbrush and tooth powder so that we can keep our teeth clean while we're on the road. A bit of a candle stuck in a brass shell. Again, makes a nice flat candle holder, and you would put a bit of a stick inside as the candle burned down and you need to extend it up farther. But that protects it for the most part and gives you something to hold it, carry it, a nice flat bottom to set it on. We also have 4 wooden clothespins. Of course, when you do your laundry, when you boil up, you need something to pin your clothes on so that you can have these. Of course, I've showed you how to make your own in another video. You should check that one out. We have a pair of needle nose pliers. These are very handy for fishing, of course, for getting a hold of fish hooks and all those sorts of things, for cleaning, for holding on to a fish, and there's many uses, of course, on the road for a pair of pliers. We also have a small tape measure, something that we can use to measure things, making any kinds of crafts that we might need to make out along the side of the road, things to sell, and just in general to be able to measure things for our work. We have a couple of balls of twine and string, respectively. You can never have too much to tie things up. This is always very handy. There's also a spool of fishing line. Plenty of fishing line. This is also useful for repairs and structures as well, because it's very heavy duty cord. And last in the Diddy bag, but not least, is our Jew's harp. Another item that a hobo might carry would be a slingshot. Rubber bands made from old inner tubes, something that he could practice with. It would be a lot of fun. It would also put meat on the table, rabbits and squirrels, as well as a bit of self-protection. He would also want to have a small pouch of marbles or some other sort of ammunition that he could get a hold of. In the very center of the pouch, we have these 2 pockets. In the one side, a scrap of rubber with some lines inscribed on it already for making more of the rubber bands for the slingshot. Also a small pocket compass on a string that he could wear and use for finding basic cardinal directions. In the other center pocket, we would find his eating utensils. On the side, in the small area here with the button, is a small leather pouch. And in this leather pouch, we find some repair items. A pair of scissors, very important. Some extra matches. We also have a selection of nails. A pencil for making marks on posts or whatever you might need to mark with those hobo signs, the hobo code, as well as for marking out the rubber for the slingshot. We have some darning material for the socks should we need that. A bit of wire for repairs. And a small sewing kit. Top comes off, that is the thimble. Inside, little tube, we have our thread, and inside of this we have our needles and also some safety pins and some straight pins. And you can see those laid out right there. In the very back, carried next to the body where it would be easy to get to without being seen, one of our most important survival tools, maybe the most important, a good solid blade, kept razor sharp and very useful for all kinds of tasks. Of course, many of them, as I've said, grew up on farms, they were woodsmen, they knew what to do. Along with that, the all-important sharpening stone wrapped up in a bit of leather cloth. So here it is, all laid out. This is what a hobo might carry in his haversack or musette bag. Many of these items are close to 100 years old. They're still very useful, and as you can see, they've stood the test of time. And we are going to demonstrate some of these other kits and items that we have in there, so make sure that you stay tuned for those videos. We've got it all repacked and settled in. As you can see, it's not that heavy, it's not that big of a bag, but it carries a significant amount of gear. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also make sure and check out the links in the description box below just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll also find our waypointsurvival.com link. And this is where you can sign up to take survival and bushcraft classes at our beautiful training facility in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.